grade 12s, we're back here on a Thursday. It's almost weekend, but before that, we have another whole day to go, and today, Thursday. I hope you guys are tuned in and watching this fantastic Learn Extra live show. You're here with me, Megan, and of course, my partner in crime, Mr. Accounting, Ashraf.
Hi Megan, and how are you?
I'm good, and you?
It's so good to be with you again this Thursday.
Are you happy?
Definitely I am. And all our accounting boffins out there, we're ready to challenge them today.
I think we should give them a little bit of a run for their money.
Let's do that.
Tell me, what are we doing today, please?
Megan, in today's week, we concentrating, guys, on the debtors and creditors reconciliations, as well as the bank reconciliation.
Okay, well, I have no idea what he's saying, but I trust after this lesson, I will know a bit more than what I know right now. So, I'm going to tell you quickly before Ashraf starts where to get all the notes, where to get your information. Don't forget, I'm on the page now, facebook.com/Learn Extra, as well as you can get all the notes that are available. We're going to be going through them right now in a second, and that is at mindset.co.za/Learn Extra with an X, or if you do have a cell phone or a computer and you want to hit us up on Twitter at Learn Extra. But enough from me, it's all upon Ashraf. Let's go.
Thank you. Okay, guys, reconciliation. What are we talking about? I'm sure you had reasons sometimes in your lives to reconcile differences. Am I right, Megan?
I think so.
Definitely. So, guys, reconciliation, we want to bring together. So let's look at today's lesson and see what are we going to revise. We're going to be looking at the debtors and the creditors recon. Okay, let's just pick our pen up. And once we've done the debtors and the creditors recon, we're going to consider the reasons for the differences. What is making that these two balances are not the same? All right? And then we're going to look at the procedure for the reconciliation. In other words, what do we do? How do we go about reconciling these figures? And then we're also going to revise the debtors' age analysis. And we don't want to know how old the debtors are, Megan. We want to know how old is the debt of the debtor. Okay, but more of that as we go along into our lesson. Right. Okay, now guys, let's take a look at this here. When you are reconciling your debtors recon, now the focus is on the debtors recon, so please keep that at the back of your minds. You are reconciling two things. What are you reconciling? You are reconciling your debtors control account, with what? With your debtors ledger. Now, very often you hear this, that what is the triple entry principle? Okay, I'm sure you've heard at length about the double entry principle. What are we referring to in the double entry principle? We know that in the double entry principle, what do we have? We have a double entry in my ledger. Okay, so one account is debited and the other account is credited. That's the double entry. So has Ashraf lost something along the line that he's talking about the triple entry principle? No, grade 12s. No, the accounting boffins out there. What we are saying is that when you are dealing with debtors and creditors, yes, the double entry principle applies in your general ledger, but at the same time, you are going to make an entry somewhere in a subsidiary ledger. For example, the debtors ledger. Okay, so keep this at the back of your minds that we have a triple entry principle. And what is that? A double entry in my general ledger and a single entry in my debtors ledger. So this brings us then to the point of reconciliation. What are we reconciling? we are reconciling the debtors control account with the debtors ledger. And you'll see where we come across these differences. Now remember this, that a record of all transactions of a debtor is shown in the debtor's ledger. What am I saying? If I want to know specifically how much Megan owes me, what am I going to look at? Would my debtors control help me in finding out specifically what our lady here owes us? No. Why? The debtors control has a total. It's a summary of total debtors. It gives you one figure. My debtors are owing me 100,000 rand. But I want to know a specific debtor. Therefore, all Megan's information would appear in her account in our debtors ledger. And what do we do? What do we do at the end of the month? We send Megan a statement and say, hello dear,
This is what you owe me."
owe us. That's right. We're telling her specifically, this is what we're sending to her. What do we call this? This is what we call our statement that we send to our debtor. Now, we will also prepare a debtors list at the end of the month. Now you ask yourself, what is a debtors list? A debtors list, remember, is a list of the final balances in each of our debtors' personal accounts as they appear in our debtors ledger. Right. Now, obviously, there must be, in order to reconcile, there must be differences. Let's look at the reasons for the differences. Now you're going to notice in this lesson, I'm going to use debtors and creditors interchangeably, because what affects a debtor is also going to affect a creditor. So as a grade 12 learner, I'm sure you will be able to see when Ashraf is talking about a debtor or a creditor, in some instances you'll notice that this happens with a creditor, and those creditors are people that we owe money to. I'm sure you know that. Okay, so now, if we say the creditor may have prepared the statement on a different date from the date on which the business is receiving the statement. Very simple, guys. Very simple. You have received a statement from your creditor. Okay? Now, Megan is a creditor, meaning we owe her money. And can you see the glow on her now? Because now she's going to collect the moolah.
Some cash money.
Okay, guys. So when we receive the statement from her, assuming we are receiving the statement on the 22nd, 23rd, 25th of the month, our account that is prepared may be on a different date. As a result, we have what is called a timing difference. Now, obviously, the timing difference results in what we receive from her as something different to what our books are showing. It may be possible that invoices are omitted or entered incorrectly. We all know that you can make these errors, okay? And if an error is made, it means that either the invoice is omitted, it's left out for some whatever reason maybe, or it's entered incorrectly. So this is going to result in a difference between what the statement from Megan that we have received to what our account is showing us. We may find that your debit and your credit notes are also omitted or entered incorrectly. Once again, remember, you need to understand that when you are dealing with these source documents, to see what effect would the source document have on the amount that a debtor owes me, or what effect would it have on the amount that we are owing to our creditors. Let's look at the procedure for reconciliation. One, compare the monthly statement against the creditor's ledger and the control account. Now, please understand this here. When we are dealing with creditors specifically, okay, and I want you to please focus now. Listen exactly to what I'm saying. In other words, I want your mind, your body, and your soul. Complete attendance. Okay, here goes. When it comes to a creditor's recon, we have two types of creditors reconciliation. Allow me to explain. The first one is where I'm reconciling my creditor's control account with my creditor's list. Remember that this is an internal identical to what? To your debtor's control and the reconciliation with your debtor's list. That's not the only creditors recon that we do. The other creditors recon that we do is where we reconcile the individual account. Remember, Megan has sent us an account. Okay? We are XY traders. We are owing Megan money. The account of Megan needs to be reconciled. How do we do that? She sends us a statement. We have the statement in our possession, and we reconcile this statement now with what we have in our books in the account of Megan Stores. Got that, guys?
Yeah.
Right. So, this is one recon that we deal with, the creditor's control with the creditor's list. And the second one is we reconcile the statement from the creditor. And what do we reconcile that with? We reconcile that with the account as it appears in our ledger. Okay, so clearly now you know that when it comes to a debtor's recon, it's one recon, the control account with the list. But when it comes to the creditor, there's two types of recons, like I have mentioned. Okay, now going back to where we were. Remember that the debit column of the statement is compared to the credit side of the ledger account. Now, why is that? Okay, now I'm going to take you just a little bit back to your relationship with your bank. When you receive your bank statement, how do you compare? Remember, you compare your cash receipts journal with the credit side of your bank statement. So, this exact would apply when you are dealing with your creditor as well. Because let me put it to you this way. I'm saying that I am owing money to Megan. She is my creditor. Okay? But if I'm Megan and I'm standing this side, what would Megan say?
You owe.
Exactly. She would say, Ashraf owes me money. So, my relationship with her, she is my creditor, and she would say, I have a debtor, somebody owing her money. So, understand that. So, when she sends you the statement, we use, watch this again, the debit column of the statement is compared to the credit side of the ledger account. And the credit column on the statement is compared with the debit side of the ledger account. I'm sure you've got that clearly now as to how to go about doing your comparisons. Right. Then, if there are any errors or omissions in the books of the business receiving the statement, this must be corrected. Very important. We have to verify the entry before recording. You just don't go into recording. You verify. Did the transaction take place? Yes, it has taken place. Where's the documentation? Maybe it has been mislaid, whatever the reason may be. Find it, ask for a duplicate copy. In today's age of technology, Within seconds, they can email something to us, check it, verify it, and then we do the recording. Okay. If the creditor has made any errors, whether they be arithmetical or omissions, the business receiving the statement must notify the creditor so that the necessary corrections can be made by the creditor. Very important. It's no sense we pick up an error that Megan has sent us and we don't inform her that, listen, my dear, there's an error on this one here. Your figures, there's something wrong. Something has gone awry here. Please sort it out. If that does not happen, she would not know about it. So we need to inform the creditor as well. So we've said a lot about debtors and creditors. Over to you, Megan.
You ready for a break? I think
Definitely.
so.
I
Okay,
think
we need a bit of water. So I think you need a bit of water. So when we come back, and we'll see you right after the break. Welcome back, grade 12s. Hope you had a good ad break. You're refreshed, you're ready to hit the books, because Ashraf and I are really keen to help you help yourself, because we really want to go through this and want you to understand, because I'm actually understanding a lot, and in the beginning, like I said, I had no clue of what we were talking about. So Ashraf, all over to you.
Thank you, Megan. Yes, just answering a few questions that we had. We had a question from some of the grade 11 learners who said that they wrote an accounting paper today and they felt like crying. What do we know that?
Why? They must tell us why.
Yes, and
Onka.
besides, this may be a grade 12, but some of the work that we do here, definitely grade 11s, I'm sure you can tune in.
Yes.
So you will definitely benefit as well.
Always. Why not get ahead of yourself while you're in the game?
Absolutely, spot on, dear. Right, so the next question was about an unfavorable and a favorable balance. Now, watch this here. Let's just do this here so that you have a clear concept of what we are doing. With regards to your favorable and your unfavorable bank balance, watch here. If I say I have a bank account, and in this bank account, I have a balance of 100,000. Wishful thinking, but anyway, it's the one time we can put in any amount and say, that's the amount of money that we have.
Block the other 3 notes. That's me.
Okay, now, in our books, this is what we refer to as a favorable bank balance. Why? Because you can clearly see that it's on the debit side. It represents an asset, meaning that the bank owes us money. How much does the bank owe us? 100,000. By the same token, watch this here, guys. That's in our books. But in the books of the bank, which is H-A-Y Bank, Hay Bank, right? They have an account for us. We are Megan Stores.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And what are they going to say? They're going to say, watch this. They're going to say, we owe Megan Stores 100,000. Why? Now, obviously, you remember the debit and the credit story? From our perspective, when we are, this is our business, we say the bank owes us 100,000. But if I look at it from the bank perspective, we will say we are Hay Bank and we owe Megan Stores an amount of 100 Rand. So therefore, in our books, a debit, in the books of the bank, a credit. By the same token, if this now happens, for example, this now happens and we got an amount of 60,000 on the credit side of our bank account. We now say the bank is in overdraft, meaning we are owing the bank money. Therefore, on the credit side, can you see your balance? And what would the bank say? The bank would say that Megan Stores owes us 60,000 Rand. So this is when we say we have a favorable bank balance, it means it's a debit balance. There. And if we have an unfavorable bank balance, it means we have a credit balance. And a credit indicating a liability, we owe money to the bank. And that's why we refer to it as a bank overdraft. I hope we've answered your question.
I think they have. I know what's going on now.
Great.
I have a shop.
Okay, guys, coming back to our debtors with emphasis on the age analysis. Aha. Now, what is this age analysis all about? Remember, debtors represents the amounts that are owed to us by other businesses, right? Meaning owed to the business. And in today's time, you find that a lot of people would be owing us money, and our money is actually tied up with those people. In the sense that we are at their mercy, Megan. You and I both have commitments, isn't it? We
Yes.
have to pay our accounts on a regular basis.
Unfortunately.
Yes, but the fact of the matter is the business knows that these are my debtors, and very important statement, the collection of amounts due must be evaluated. What do we mean by that? The recoverability weakens as the debtors age. Now, once again, we don't want to know how old Megan is. That's
No,
a
we
secret. However, what we do want to know is that if she's owing us money, for what period is she owing us the money? Is it 30 days? Is it 60 days? Is it 90 days? Is it more than 90 days? We're talking about the age of the debt. Please keep that in mind. Now, obviously, we do know that we have a credit policy which must be strictly adhered to, and management must keep an eye on aging debtors' accounts and thus avoid possible losses. We do know that once a debtor's age has gone beyond the 120 days, the possibility, the recovery is decreasing all the time. And therefore, it means that once we know we've exhausted all possibilities of recovering our money, if all fails, we know the option is we then write off the debt as irrecoverable. Now, just something very important. Unfortunately, because of the school situation, you think it's okay, it's so easy, just write off the debt as irrecoverable. No, guys, it doesn't work that way. The reality is we look at all possibilities in which to recover our money. If all fails, then we have no choice but to write off the debt as a loss, which is our bad debt. But it's not just a simple procedure like it appears in an exam. You just say, write off the account of Hida Traders as irrecoverable. No, it doesn't work that way. The reality is you do your best to try and recover the money. Okay. So therefore, what must be done? We must draw an analysis of every debtor in such a way that we have what is called a debtor's age analysis. Okay, now this is the understanding behind a debtor's age analysis. Our terms have been specified. What are my terms? My terms are 30 days. So in other words, I'm allowing my debtors to pay me within 30 days. Now, I'm going to, at the same time, now that we're talking about debtors paying us within 30 days, I'm going to talk about another concept, and that's the concept of liquidity. Do you remember that there are 6 liquidity ratios that you have to apply? What are those 6 liquidity ratios? I'm sure by now you must be able to shout out those answers because you've just written your prelim exam if you live in Gauteng, and all else in the all other places in the country. I'm sure you are prepared for your prelims, or you may have written them already. So these ratios are very, very important. Now, whether you're in grade 10 or 11 or 12, you need to know your liquidity ratios. What are your liquidity ratios? They are the current ratio, the acid test ratio, your turnover rate of stock, period for which enough stock is on hand, your debtors collection period, and your creditors payment period. Notice that in an exam, if they say comment on the liquidity of a business, you are expected to know that these are my liquidity ratios. I beg you, I appeal to you, make sure that you know into which category the ratios would fall into. So if they ask you for liquidity ratios, you immediately mention the 6 ratios. Now, latching that on to what we are doing here. So in accounting, you don't learn in boxes, in little boxes. You can see the integration coming through here. So my liquidity ratio tells me my debtors collection period. So what terms have I given my debtors? 30 days. I expect that ratio to be in the region of 28,7, 29,2, but in the region of 30 days. Why? Because that's the period that I'm giving my debtors. Then, I also notice that this would be used by the credit control department. How will they use the information? What will they do with the information? Right? Remember, we can see here that we will send out statements to our debtors, telling them that, listen here, you are owing us money. And you're informing them by means of a statement. We can also determine our bad debts. Okay? Because based on this here, let's look at this. It appears, we don't know for sure, but it appears that this debt of E. Earl, this 1,000 rand here, prima facie, at first sight, it looks like Earl has become a magician. Hey, Megan?
You've become a magician.
Yes, because Earl has vanished. Okay? Earl has become a magician, and Earl has vanished. Why? Because the debt is more than 90 days. Okay? So Earl seems to have disappeared. And the possibility is we're going to have to write off that 1,000 rand as a bad debt. Got it? Okay. Now, it also helps me to determine my provision for bad debts. What type of an account is provision for bad debts? I'm sure you all know by now that provision for bad debts is a negative asset. What do we mean by that? It reduces the value of my asset. Which asset? Debtors control. Therefore, when I report in my balance sheet, how do I report in my balance sheet? I report as, watch this here. When I report in my balance sheet, I report as follows. I say debtors control, right? And immediately after that, I say provision for bad debts. And you can see that in my note, I would subtract that to get to my net trade debtors. Okay, now, this clearly illustrates that this is reducing the value of my debtors. Therefore, provision for bad debts is what we refer to as a negative asset. Remember that, again, this one could feature as an adjustment, it could feature in your balance sheet, so you need to know how to handle the provision for bad debts. So we've got that there. It also gives you the opportunity to calculate whether you are going to charge any interest on outstanding accounts. Very often you find this this question in an exam paper. How would you encourage your debtors to pay on time? Okay? So on a lighter note, I often use this and I say, Megan,
Yeah.
we can either use the carrot or the stick.
Explain that. What
Sure.
do you mean?
If you want a donkey to move, what do? You dangle a carrot in front of it, and you just keep on moving the carrot and the donkey moves. So you're providing an incentive.
Yes.
Or, if we're not going to be inhumane,
No.
we take out the cane and you beat the donkey. We're not going to do that.
Don't.
That's the stick method. Don't do that. No sticks allowed. Okay, but in accounting terms, let's apply it. Dangling the carrot means you would encourage debtors to pay their accounts properly by doing what? By offering discounts to them. There's the carrot. So, if you pay your account in time, you get a 5% discount. This is one way in which you can encourage your debtors to pay their accounts promptly. Unfortunately, if they don't, then we have to use the stick. And how do we use the stick? Do we physically go and beat them up? No, guys, we don't do that. What do? We charge interest on the outstanding accounts. So these are all aspects that are related to my debtor's age analysis. In other words, you're gleaning information from your debtor's age analysis, telling you that look at these here. Some of these debtors have an account for more than 30 days. That means they are not complying with the credit terms, and therefore you need to sort it out. Because if you don't sort it out, you're definitely going to experience liquidity problems. But I think we need some liquid now ourselves.
Instead, I think
Okay,
so.
and I think you need a break too. So go for the break, refresh, but don't you stray or go away, because we're waiting for you.
We'll be waiting right here. We'll see you after the break, Mindsetters. Welcome back, grade 12. So hope you had a quick break. Well, for us it felt like quick, but I'm sure for you it was quite long. So hope you got your glass of water and you're ready. But before Ashraf continues with the lesson, I just have to tell you about not really a competition, but something that's running here at the Mindset Studios, and that is for your teachers. In fact, if you think your teacher has in any way influenced you, has in any way made you think you can achieve your dreams, helped you get the grades you needed, and is just someone really special, we encourage you to enter them into the STARS Education Awards. And that will be posted on the page, because I can't say that link because it's like www.php, so I'm not going to try and explain that. I just want you to go click on it, enter your teacher's name, and voila. Hopefully they win one of the Teachers Star Education Awards. So see, Ashraf would be entered into that. Well, I think I would enter Ashraf. Just note, all the students, his students that are watching, please enter them. And don't forget, we'll be on facebook.com/learnextra. Ashraf.
Thank you, Regan. That was very flattering. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, guys, let's look at a question, an actual example, to consolidate what we've done so far. What do? We are given the age analysis of debtors extracted at the end of January, and it showed the following. And one of the questions that you have to answer is this business controlling their debtors effectively? Why? Discuss 2 measures that they need to consider in order to improve the above situation. So there's the situation, okay? Now look at the response. Look at the expected response. 1, no. Their terms are 30 days. But if we look at the amounts that are outstanding, can you see that immediately you pick up that what is happening here? 52,000 is outstanding for more than 30 days. Or you can say 44,000 is outstanding for more than 60 days. Or look at the possible alternatives here in terms of you answering the question. What will you say? Offer discounts if debtors pay within 30 days. Remember the carrot? Remember the incentives? There goes. Offer discounts. Or if that doesn't work, we said charge interest after 30 days. Another one that we can do, monitor and follow up with debtors who do not pay. In other words, send them reminders, make them aware of their debt. At the end of the day, we need to collect our money.
You know what's funny? I have to just interrupt you
Sure,
for 5
sure, by
seconds.
all
I
means.
work for a debtor's clerk.
Is it?
So now I didn't even realize that this is actually what I'm doing. Shows how blonde I am. Excuse
No,
me.
brilliant.
So we
So-
do an age analysis on doctor's accounts. So it's
Ex-
120 days, 30 days. 60 days.
Exactly. So, and you would have noticed, Megan, that the older the debt becomes, the more difficult it is to recover it.
Yes,
Because-
because you have to send it in within 3 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you also know that if take your personal lives, guys, I'll see it with, it never happens.
Yeah.
Procrastination is the thief of time.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
So now I actually do know what Ashraf's talking about mindset is, just to put it out there. It
What
took
are
a
we
while.
told here?
It took a while.
No, but it's excellent. So what we're saying is that we never stop learning, guys,
Never ever.
including myself. I learn all the time. Right. So we are given information here. Use the information below to reconcile the account of Sabine Stores in the creditors ledger of Remo Traders with the statement of account received from Sabine Stores. So understand who we are. We are Remo Traders. Who's our creditor? Who do we owe money to? We owe money to Sabine Stores. By preparing the creditors reconciliation statement as at the 29th of February 2012. What are we given in information? Watch here. We are given the account as it appears in our books, right? So you can see it's our creditors ledger. Which creditors account do we have? The account of Sabine Stores. Right, and then we are also given the statement that we have received from Sabine Stores for the month of February. Right, now, when we were comparing the creditors ledger against the statement, the following differences were noted. What? All of the errors relate to the creditor's statement. Our books are correct. These errors have been made by the creditor. Now, let's look at the first one. What does it say? It says there, Sabine Stores forgot to record the discount for the early settlement of account by Remo Traders on the 5th of February 2012. Right? So, let's go and find that discount. Watch it, here it goes. There's the discount. And the amount is 25 Rand. What have they done? They have forgotten to record that discount. Therefore, what are we going to do? So, if this is the statement that we are reconciling, remember that this is the discount that has to be recorded, and they have forgotten to record the discount of 25 Rand. Therefore, we're going to enter the 25 Rand, and let's just undo that. There's the 25 Rand that we are entering. And what are we going to do? This is the balance that they said we are owing them. How much? 7,800. Therefore, we're going to subtract this 25 Rand from that amount. Got it? Okay, next one. Check number 80, 1. Check 80 and invoice number Z72 have not yet been recorded on the creditor's statement. Okay, let's find that out. Let's get to that one first. Check number 80, and you can see check number 80 is an amount of 875. Okay, that means we've paid them. We have recorded the 875 in our books. Where has it not been recorded? It has not been recorded by the creditor. Therefore, what are we going to do now? We're going to say 875 rand, and we're going to subtract that amount because that was a check that we had issued. Remember, we have issued the check. They have not made record of it, so therefore it will decrease the amount that we are owing them. Got it? Okay. In that same one, there was another item that we needed to take care of. And what was that? We are told that invoice number Z72, this one here, has also not been recorded. So, going back to my information, there's invoice number Z72 of 1030. Let's just see if we got the right one. We do. That's correct. It's invoice number Z42. So therefore, no, I got the wrong figure. This is Z72. Let's go back. I thought there was a difference. Here's it here, guys. Sorry, not that one, but invoice number Z72. Okay, now watch this. What is important? You would find that invoices that you receive towards the end of the month may not be recorded because of a timing difference. Clearly you can see it's an invoice that happens at the end, the 28th of the month. Therefore, number Z72, the value was 690 rand. So let's do that. Let's enter 690 of invoice number Z72. Let's go down. It's invoice number. Let's just go do that. That's perfect. Invoice number Z72 for 690 rand. 690 rand. Remember, it has not been entered by the creditor. We now have to add the amount to the amount that is owed to the creditor. Okie dokes, let's go back. After an investigation, it was found that the refund on the statement of account on the 20th of February was made to another customer, Sabine Stores. Okay? That means somebody else. So Megan, this often happens when you have two traders with similar names or maybe something different. And as a result, you find that this was a refund was made to another trader. Okay, we now have to correct that. And let's look at can you see here? Refund to a customer, 250 rand. That means they have subtracted an amount of 250 rand from our account inadvertently, in error. It was made to another customer. Okay? So therefore, what are we going to do? We're going to go back into our creditors Recon. Megan, can you just take it for a minute? I just have a bit of a cough, please.
Of course. No. Guys, I hope you actually...
Sorry about that.
And you guys are... Actually, I posted a picture.
Okay.
Hopefully accountant students will understand. It's got a little baby and it's holding a fist like this, and it says, prepared a trial balance. And this little baby looks like, yes! And then it says, balance for the first time. And I know when I was writing accounting in grade 10, my balances never, or my trial balances never, ever, ever balanced. And then you know you're wrong. So You just hoped you got bubble marks, but are you okay?
I'm fine. Thank you very much, guys. I just need to take a bit of a break. Okay, but we're back on again. Right. Coming back to my refund. Remember that the refund was made to another customer. And therefore, we now have to bring that refund into our records. So here's the refund. And we have to edit here because that refund was not applicable to us. The refund was for somebody else. As a result, we now have to add the refund to that amount. Okay, let's look at the next difference. That one is dealt with. Invoice number Z50, shown on the statement on the 22nd of February, was in fact purchases made by Tequeni traders. Okay, let's go back here. Right? And let's get the detail there. It is invoice number Z50. Okay, here's Z50, guys. Z50. They are charging us 490 Rand for goods that were in fact purchased by somebody else. Here's it. It appears on our statement that they have sent to us how much? Number Z50, and the amount was 490, I think it was. There it is. 490 Rand was goods bought by somebody else, which they included on our statement. So obviously, what are we going to do? Very simple. We're going to say 490 Rand, and we are going to say there's an error because that invoice does not belong to us. Okay, and then it says here number 5, invoice number Z56 is correct in the books of Remo traders. Let's identify Z56. Z56, according to us, is an amount of 890. Right? According to their books, we find that invoice number Z56 is an amount of 990. Clearly you can see the same invoice. However, in our books, it's recorded as 890. Here goes. Right? And in their books, according to their statement, it's recorded as 990. So there's 100 Rand difference. This means, therefore, that we must now subtract the 100 Rand from the amount that we had there. Remember, the error also had to be subtracted. So this will be the error on the invoice. What have we done? In today's lesson, grades, I hope I'm talking to 10, 11, and 12 now. What have we done? We have discussed the reconciliations in terms of, remember, there's a bank recon, there's a debtors recon, and there's a creditors recon. You are expected to know all of these recons in preparation for that big one, somewhere in October. The big one, okay? You need to know all these reconciliations in preparation for that big day. So now, it's time, guys, to say goodbye. And you know how, what do I always say? You got to aim for the moon. And perchance, if you don't get there, you're definitely going to be Ashraf's shining star.
Aww. You see, that's why you should be nominated for that. I hope your students are watching. But thank you, grade 12, for tuning into tonight's show. I hope you learned something because I just had an epiphany. And I just want to thank you for all your responses on Facebook. We'll see you, same time, same place, next week. Enjoy your evening, guys.
Cheers. Bye-bye.